Well, the record flooding has long subsided, the adrenaline has drained, but anger, frustration and depression lingers for thousands of people on the New South Wales Northern Rivers 12 months after their lives were turned upside down. Our Brisbane Bureau Chief Adam Walters travelled to Lismore for this report on the eve of the disaster's first anniversary.
After losing everything when the Wilson's Rivers swallowed his home, social worker Harper Dalton composes and plays his own music on a donated piano to soothe his nerves 12 months later. Being smashed by the flood was one thing, but his hammering from a cold, inefficient bureaucracy has provided enough sour notes to turn frustration into anger.
I feel abandoned and failed.
Harper is one of thousands still waiting to learn how and when they can relocate their homes to higher ground. And a year after the Wilsons spilled over the levee wall before peaking at a record 14.4 metres, he now feels his head is being bashed up against a brick wall.
We've been left to our own devices. I was never offered temporary accommodation, even though I put my name down for temporary accommodation a week after the flood. I had no choice but to move back into my flood-affected home a month after, and I'm still here 12 months on with no indication of what I'm even eligible for.
It's a familiar story. Julia Melvin is still forced to live in a caravan and can't believe the inefficiency of the public servants who were supposed to help her and so many others.
It was unbelievable. If I told you the story of what I went through and you multiplied that by 6,000, it would be an unbelievable story.
Julia is on a long list, needing her home to be high and dry, but the failings of the system have been hitting hard since day one.
Yeah, I was living in my car. I asked for emergency accommodation. They said, oh, no, you've got to be actually on the street, and so I didn't meet the narrow criteria of being emergency housing. The
infamous Resilience New South Wales agency has since been disbanded after angry locals and 2 inquiries exposed its appalling response.
Strangely devoid of government intervention. It was remarkable.
And that was before a failure to address the trauma of the flooding disaster.
People needed long-term support around navigating the system, financial assistance and just emotional support.
They're still living in the shells of their houses, in caravans, in tents. Many people are homeless around the region. People are traumatised, they're broken, and they're looking for answers from the government, and that hasn't been coming.
We had a housing and homelessness crisis before the flood. We had 20% of the state's rough sleepers in the Northern Rivers, yet only 4% of the state's population.
As peaceful as it is now, the locals know this river can never be tamed and that moving this regional city to higher ground is the only solution to securing its future. But so far, the government has made only 25 offers to buy back homes for residents to relocate.
They've been dragging their feet. The bureaucracy that they've created, the Reconstruction Corporation, has been inventing itself as it flies, and it hasn't been communicating with the community about its plans to get people out of harm's way and onto higher ground.
I don't see any point in encouraging people to stay in high-risk areas where we can have 2 more metres than we had in February. That's our probable maximum flood height, and that is over the ceiling. I don't want to see children being rescued off roofs in the future.
Adam Walters, Sky News.
We will have more reaction on this, by the way, coming up next hour on the program, but also we'll be marking the 1-year anniversary of the Lismore flood tomorrow with special coverage. We've got coverage on Sky News weather as well, Channel 601 from 9 a.m. tomorrow for a dedicated half-hour program.